The man who stole his own empire. The most powerful crime boss in New York vanished on a Tuesday morning. No gunshots. No witnesses. No ransom demand. Just an empty penthouse overlooking Manhattan and a half-finished cup of coffee still sitting on the table. The FBI thought he was dead. His enemies celebrated. His own crew started a war over who would take control. But 3 months later, a security camera in Chicago captured something impossible. The missing crime boss was alive. And he was robbing his own organization. Anthony Russo wasn't supposed to disappear. For 20 years, he controlled one of the largest criminal networks on the East Coast. Money laundering. Illegal gambling. Extortion. Every operation flowed through Russo. Nobody made a move without his approval. So when he vanished, chaos exploded. His second-in-command, Vincent Caruso, immediately claimed leadership. But another faction, led by Marco Bellini, refused to recognize him. Soon the organization split in two. Businesses stopped paying. Secret accounts went missing. Millions of dollars vanished overnight. The FBI watched closely, expecting a gang war. Instead, something stranger happened. Every few weeks, another hidden cash reserve disappeared. A warehouse in Philadelphia. A safe house in Cleveland. A private storage unit in Detroit. Someone was systematically robbing Russo's criminal empire. And whoever it was knew exactly where everything was hidden. Only one person possessed that knowledge. Anthony Russo. The first sighting came from Chicago. A grainy security camera recorded a man entering a warehouse owned by one of Russo's shell companies. The footage lasted only 15 seconds. The man wore a baseball cap and sunglasses. But his work was unmistakable. Federal agents analyzed the video. Height. Weight. Movement patterns. Everything matched Anthony Russo. Yet that made no sense. Why would a crime boss steal from himself? The mystery deepened when investigators discovered the warehouse had contained nearly $5 million in cash. By the time authorities arrived, every dollar was gone. No fingerprints. No DNA. Nothing. Just one message spray-painted on the wall. Balance due. Nobody knew what it meant. A month later, a breakthrough arrived from an unexpected source. A retired accountant named Harold Green contacted the FBI. Years earlier, Green had managed financial records for several companies secretly controlled by Russo. He claimed he knew what balance due meant. According to Green, Russo had a secret partner. Not publicly. Not within the organization. Someone hidden. Someone whose existence was never recorded. Green said the partner had helped Russo build the empire decades ago. But after a disagreement, the partner vanished. Every trace of him disappeared. No one ever spoke his name again. The FBI pressed Green for details. He revealed a single name. Daniel Voss. Then he dropped another bombshell. Legally speaking, Daniel Voss owned 50% of everything. Agents searched for records. Most had been destroyed. Others had mysteriously disappeared. But eventually they uncovered photographs from the 1980s. Standing beside a young Anthony Russo was another man. Daniel Voss. The forgotten partner. The man who supposedly vanished 30 years earlier. But when agents searched public databases, they found no death certificate. No burial record. No confirmed evidence that Voss had ever died. Then another robbery occurred. This time in St. Louis. Again, millions vanished. Again, the message appeared. Balance due. The FBI began considering a shocking possibility. Maybe Russo wasn't stealing from his empire. Maybe somebody else was. Somebody collecting an old debt. Federal agents devised a plan. Using information leaked through criminal informants, they spread a rumor. A hidden vault containing $10 million would be moved through Indianapolis. The vault didn't exist. It was bait. If the mysterious thief showed up, agents would be waiting. For 3 nights, nothing happened. On the 4th night, motion sensors activated. A figure entered the warehouse. The surveillance team moved in. Doors were sealed. Exits blocked. The suspect had nowhere to run. Agents stormed inside. But the warehouse was empty. The intruder had vanished. Only one thing remained. A handwritten note. Wrong ghost. The message terrified investigators. Because nobody knew how the suspect had escaped. There were no tunnels. No hidden exits. Nothing. Yet security footage clearly showed someone entering. And nobody leaving. The answer came from an overlooked detail. A young analyst reviewing old records noticed something unusual. Anthony Russo had officially disappeared on the exact same date that Daniel Voss had reappeared financially. The timing wasn't coincidence. The analyst dug deeper. Bank transfers. Property purchases. Travel records. Everything pointed toward one impossible conclusion. Daniel Voss and Anthony Russo had never existed at the same time in modern records. Whenever one appeared, the other disappeared. The analyst brought the evidence to her supervisor. At first, nobody believed her. Then she uncovered an old passport photo. And another. And another. The faces looked different. Different hairstyles. Different facial hair. Different classes. But underneath the disguises, they were the same man. The room fell silent. Daniel Voss and Anthony Russo were the same person. Always had been. 30 years earlier, a young criminal named Daniel Voss had invented a second identity. Anthony Russo. Over time, Russo became the public face of the empire. Voss remained hidden. Whenever authorities investigated one identity, the other remained untouched. It was the perfect shield. The perfect backup plan. For decades nobody noticed. Not rivals. Not law enforcement. Not even most members of the organization. Then Voss grew older. Paranoid. Suspicious. He became convinced his own crew planned to betray him. So he activated a plan decades in the making. Anthony Russo disappeared. Daniel Voss returned. And one identity began stealing from the other. The empire was being dismantled from within. By its creator. The revelation triggered a nationwide manhunt. Airports. Train stations. Ports. Every agency searched for Daniel Voss. Weeks passed without success. Then a private investigator in Seattle reported a lead. A man matching Voss's description had purchased a fishing boat using cash. Agents rushed to the marina. The boat was gone. But harbor cameras captured its destination. A small island off the Washington coast. Federal teams deployed immediately. By sunset they reached the island. They found a cabin. Inside sat a wooden table. A lantern. And a stack of documents. Property deeds. Bank records. Account numbers. Enough evidence to dismantle the entire criminal organization. But Voss wasn't there. Only one final note. Debt paid. The investigation should have ended there. But another surprise waited. Hidden among the documents was a sealed envelope addressed to the FBI director. Inside was a confession. Not about crimes. About a mistake. Years earlier, one of Russo's trusted associates had stolen money from the organization and framed an innocent employee. The employee lost everything. Career. Home. Reputation. According to the confession. Guilt haunted Voss for decades. The money he stole from his own empire wasn't meant for himself. It had been quietly distributed to victims of fraud committed by members of the organization. Anonymous.